Hey, Michael, Vsauce here. We are all 1.8 blocks tall, made out of meat with some two-dimensional clothing on top of it, and living in a big flat world. And that world is made out of blocks. Or is it? Are there rivers, or is there just water that acts rivery? When does a piece of meat start to be me? Do blocks exist? Thingology is the science of things. Blocks are what thingologists call square objects. Square objects are the plain old common things we work with every day. Stone blocks, pickaxes, chest plates, grass blocks, stuff like that. Their existence is as obvious as possible. But the more we try to suss out what they are, the more sus they become. Sure, this may all be just a simulated reality, and the beautiful cubic planet we live on may only be made out of ones and zeros. But besides that unlikely scenario, there's a deeper blockological question we need to answer first. Regardless of if this spoon is out of simulated or real pixels, is it a thing? Now you might say, of course it is a thing, you're clearly holding it in your hand right now. But if anything you can hold in your hand is a thing, are mobs a thing? You can't hold them in your hand, but they are something, aren't they? So maybe anything that can be held in your hand or that moves is a thing. But what about bedrock? You can't hold it in your hand, but it also doesn't move. Does that make it not be a thing? What if we say everything that is made out of pixels is a thing? But how about air? Air doesn't have pixels. Does that make it an unthing? So these definitions can't pinpoint what a thing is. But maybe spatial boundaries can. So let's say a thing is something in a 16 by 16 by 16 area. This sand block is a thing, this stone button is a thing, and this dark oak trapdoor is a thing. But what about me? I'm in two 16 by 16 areas. Does that make me two things? Are my upper and my lower body separate things? And what if I throw these two items on the ground right next to each other? They are now in the same 16 by 16 by 16 area. Does that make them the same thing? Is it a two thing? Maybe things aren't that straightforward. Maybe something can be a thing while still being part of a bigger thing. So these would be a diamond X and an iron hoe. But they are also a diamond hex. Then this is my lower body and this is my upper body. But combined they are still me. So there are small things that add up to bigger things. Pixels add up to blocks or entities, which can then add up to even bigger things. But how big can they get? Is there a limit to the size of things? The size of the world is limited, so the whole world is one thing. But how many things are there that make up the world? And is everything a thing? Are 2 pixels from this grass block, my left eye, and this oak tree a thing? Let's call it John. Does John exist? Sure, John doesn't make a lot of sense. You could argue he's just too random to exist. But this house is also just a random arrangement of smaller things. Does that mean it doesn't exist? It is more useful and interesting to us humans than John. But is it objectively more real? Blockological thingologists believe that there is really a mind-independent answer to the question, what is a thing? That the universe has joints, that we can cut up reality into objective, real things. Blockological pixelologists disagree. Their position is that what we think of as logical is just one way to cut up reality into things. And any of these ways of cutting it up isn't objectively more true than any other way. Our perception of things isn't objectively superior, nor is any other one. And as always, thanks for watching. As always, links to Vsauce, who inspired this parody, are down in the description. There's also the option to subscribe with the bell to receive a Minecraft but content creator for the next 3 Sundays.